All right, so it seems like you're really interested in this comfort block system. You sent us a ton of info about it, brochures and technical reports and fire ratings, really the work. So clearly you're serious about this.
Yeah.
So let's dive deep and figure out what makes comfort block tick, and more importantly, why it might be the right choice for your project.
Yeah, I'm always excited to dig into new building innovations like this. There's a real need for smarter and more sustainable building solutions out there, and Comfort Block could be a great fit.
Exactly. And it's more than just your average concrete block system, right? It's a
Yeah.
whole system. They've got the CB4, the 6, the 8, 12, and 16. They even have a block and beam floor system, homes, garages, sheds,
Yeah.
even landscaping features. It seems like they've got all the bases covered.
Yeah, and that's what I find so fascinating about this modular approach. You're not stuck with some one-size-fits-all solution. You can choose the Comfort Block system that works best for your project and what your needs are. It doesn't matter if you're building a small shed or a whole house.
Okay, so how does this stuff actually go together? The brochure mentions something about precision grinding and using adhesive instead of mortar. It sounds kind of like building with Legos.
It's not too far off. That precision is really important. It means a cleaner job site and much faster construction. And speaking of faster, the brochure mentions that one mason, John Gorman, finished a comfort block project in half the time as he would have with traditional concrete blocks.
Well, time is money, as they say. So it's a win-win for the builders and the homeowners. And less time spent on the build probably means lower labor costs, too.
Exactly. And DIY builders will love this system. That ease of assembly is a game changer. And you could save yourself a lot of money if you do it yourself.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got speed and adaptability. But one thing that really stood out to me was this claim in the brochure about Comfort Block's thermal mass, that it can lead to energy savings up to 75%. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Right. It's important to remember that those numbers are the high end of what's possible. The real energy savings depend on a lot of factors, things like your climate and which comfort block system you go with, and of course, how well your home is insulated overall.
So nuance is key here, but let's dig into the potential. We have these technical reports on the CB12 and CB16 systems, and they go into a lot of detail about something called solar cycle testing. What is that exactly?
So Clemson University did all this research to see how well comfort block holds up in the real world. Imagine a giant chamber that's simulating the sun beating down and the temperature changing all day long. That's basically what solar cycle testing is.
Okay, so they're really putting these blocks through it to see how well they perform. And what did they find?
You know those charts we were talking about? They show how much comfort block reduces those temperature swings that we see in traditional homes,
Yeah.
and they're dramatic.
So instead of blasting the AC all summer long, these comfort block walls are working like a big battery, soaking up that heat and keeping things nice and cool inside.
Exactly. And in the wintertime, it's the same idea, but in reverse. The walls release that stored heat, so you don't have to run the furnace as much. And those charts show this really well. You can see how well Comfort Block levels out the highs and lows of the temperature swings. And that's what saves you money and energy in the long run.
I'm starting to understand why this is so appealing.
Hmm.
But you mentioned earlier that comfort block is also a more sustainable option. Can you talk about that a little more?
Sure, it all starts with the materials. They use this special concrete formula called G-Mix, and it has up to 55% recycled material in it.
Wow, that's incredible. And they've got the data to back it up, too. They even included a chart that compares the global warming potential of their CB8 block with the industry average, and it's way lower.
Right. It really shows how these new building materials can help us reduce our environmental footprint. It's part of that movement towards a circular economy, where we're trying to reduce, reuse, and recycle as much as we can.
And it's not just the materials themselves. They also talk about how much less waste there is during construction. Do you remember that statistic about traditional building methods?
Yeah.
That they create something like 30% waste?
Yeah, it's a crazy amount. But with Comfort Block and its precision cutting and adhesive assembly, you get rid of almost all of that waste that you'd usually have at the job site. There's no more cutting blocks down to size, which also means less dust and debris. So it's a much cleaner and more efficient process overall.
So less waste going to the landfill, lower emissions from transporting materials. It sounds like they've really thought about the whole life cycle of this product.
Absolutely. And this focus on sustainability isn't just good for the environment, it can save you money too.
How so?
Well, less waste means lower disposal costs. And using less material means you might save money on things like transportation and even storage.
That makes sense. So we've got energy efficiency, we've got sustainability. But what about things like durability and safety? Those are really important for any building project. especially here where we get some pretty crazy weather sometimes.
You're right to be thinking about those things. Concrete on its own is really durable and strong, and Comfort Block really takes advantage of that.
I see the brochure mentions hurricane and tornado resistance,
Hmm.
and even mold and mildew resistance. I'm assuming that's just concrete being concrete.
Pretty much. Concrete can stand up to a lot. High winds, heavy rain, even flying debris. And because it's inorganic, it naturally resists mold and mildew, so you'll have a healthier indoor environment.
That's great to hear. We also can't forget about fire safety. We have those fire resistance documents for each comfort block system here, and the numbers look great. We're looking at 1 hour to 4 hour fire ratings, depending on how thick the blocks are and how they're put together.
Yeah, those ratings really show how fire-resistant concrete is. But it's not just about the blocks themselves. To get those ratings, you also need to finish both sides of the wall properly, which goes back to those weatherproofing and aesthetic things we were talking about before.
Oh, right. So it's all connected. It's not just about putting up some blocks and calling it a day.
Exactly. It's about understanding the whole system and how each piece makes it work as well as it does. And that brings us to something else that people often don't think about, the lifetime cost of ownership.
Okay, so beyond the initial cost of the project, what are we talking about here?
Well, think about it. Fewer repairs, less maintenance. And peace of mind knowing your home is built to last. That's the great thing about Comfort Block and how durable it is. Those savings add up over time, and they could even make up for any higher upfront costs.
So it's kind of like buying a really nice appliance. It might cost more at the beginning, but you save money on your energy bills and repairs in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And when you consider the energy savings from Comfort Block's thermal mass, you could end up saving a lot of money over the lifetime of your home.
So you're saving money and reducing your impact on the environment. It really seems like a win-win.
It is, and it brings us back to something we talked about earlier, the potential for Comfort Block to help create communities that are more sustainable and resilient.
Right. Imagine entire neighborhoods designed with energy efficiency and durability in mind, using sustainable materials and built to last.
It's an inspiring thought, and I think it's possible if we start using innovative solutions like Comfort Block.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here today.
Hmm.
From the technical details of solar cycle testing to these big ideas about sustainable communities. What does this all mean for someone like me who's thinking about using Comfort Block for my project?
Well, it's clear you've done your research. You understand the science behind how Comfort Block works and its commitment to sustainability. And you can see the long-term value it offers.
So what's the final word? Is Comfort Block the key to building a better future?
Ultimately, that decision is up to you. But with all of this knowledge, you're in a great position to make an informed choice. One that aligns with your values, your priorities, and your budget. Maybe Comfort Block is exactly what you've been looking for. A way to build something that's more than just a structure. It's a legacy of sustainability and resilience.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Comfort Block. We hope this has been helpful and maybe even a little inspiring.
My pleasure.
And to all of you listening. Whether you're dreaming of a new home, building a backyard getaway, or just curious about new possibilities, build smart and choose wisely. Let's create a future where sustainability and innovation go hand in hand. Until next time, happy building.